The Sengoku period was a time of chaos and bloodshed, a turbulent era where warlords waged relentless battles for power, and treachery was a currency as valuable as gold. Amidst this storm of ambition and betrayal, one figure emerged from the shadows, a warrior so feared and revered that his name would echo through the ages. Hattori Hanzō. Born in 1542 in the war-torn province of Iga, Hanzo was destined to be no ordinary warrior. His birthplace, Iga, was known for breeding some of the most formidable shinobi in all of Japan. Unlike the samurai, who fought in the open fields of battle, the shinobi of Iga specialized in subterfuge, assassination, and guerrilla warfare. From an early age, Hanzo was trained in these deadly arts, mastering the use of kunai, shuriken, explosives, and the silent kill. His agility was unmatched, his intellect as sharp as a katana, and his discipline unwavering. But what set Hanzo apart from others was not just his skill, but his unwavering loyalty. While many ninjas of his time were mercenaries, selling their talents to the highest bidder, Hanzo swore allegiance to one man, Tokugawa Ieyasu. It was a decision that would not only shape his destiny, but also alter the course of Japan's history. The making of a legend, Hanzo's rise to prominence was not by mere chance. His early missions under the Tokugawa banner were marked by ruthless efficiency. Whether it was gathering intelligence, eliminating key figures, or orchestrating elaborate schemes of deception, Hanzo excelled in the shadows. His enemies whispered of his abilities with a mixture of awe and terror, convinced that he could move unseen, strike with supernatural precision, and vanish into thin air before a single drop of blood hit the ground. One of his earliest recorded feats was during the 1570s, when the Tokugawa forces clashed with the Takeda clan, one of the most formidable military factions of the time. The Takeda cavalry, renowned for its speed and power, had been a persistent threat. Hanzo, understanding that brute force could not counter such might, devised a plan of deception. Under the cover of darkness, he and his shinobi infiltrated enemy encampments, setting fire to supply lines and creating chaos that turned the tide in favor of the Tokugawa. It was in these battles that his reputation as Oni Hanzo, the demon Hanzo, began to take root. The Great Escape. But the event that immortalized Hanzo in history came in 1582, following the betrayal and death of Oda Nobunaga at Hanno-ji. With Nobunaga gone, the political landscape of Japan was thrown into turmoil. Tokugawa Ieyasu, who had been in Kyoto at the time, found himself trapped deep in enemy territory, surrounded by hostile forces eager to eliminate him before he could consolidate power. Ieyasu's situation seemed hopeless, but where others saw an impending demise, Hanzo saw opportunity. Using his extensive knowledge of the land, he orchestrated a daring escape. Gathering a force of IGA and Koga ninjas, he guided Ieyasu and his men through treacherous mountains, dense forests, and enemy-infested terrain. The journey was grueling, with death lurking at every turn. Yet Hanzo's strategic mind and his ability to read the land like a map ensured their survival. When they finally reached Mikawa, Ieyasu swore that he would never forget the debt he owed to his loyal shinobi. From that moment on, Hanzo was more than just an assassin or a soldier. He became the shadow that guarded the future shogun's path. The rise of the Tokugawa shinobi, with Ieyasu now on the road to dominance. Hanzo's responsibilities expanded beyond the battlefield. He was no longer just a ninja lurking in the dark. He became a commander, entrusted with the formation and leadership of an elite force of shinobi who would serve as the Tokugawa clan's intelligence network. These warriors were not only spies and assassins, but also protectors of Edo, ensuring that the enemies of the shogunate never gained a foothold. Hanzo's strategies went beyond mere warfare. He understood the power of fear, the value of making his enemies believe he was more than just a man. Stories of his supernatural abilities spread far and wide, whispers that he could control fire, walk on water, and predict his enemies' movements before they even acted. Though exaggerated, these tales only added to his mystique and solidified his position as an indomitable force within the Tokugawa ranks. However, as time passed and the unification of Japan drew closer, the role of warriors like Hanzo began to shift. Peace was on the horizon, and with it came an uncomfortable truth: when there were no more wars to fight, what place was there for a man who thrived in the chaos of conflict? His legend was forged in battle, but would survive in an era of peace? That question would soon be answered in the twilight of his life, a chapter that will be marked by intrigue, betrayal, and the mystery surrounding his ultimate fate. As Tokugawa Ieyasu's power solidified and Japan edged closer to unification, Hattori Hanzō found himself facing a world where his deadly skills were no longer as indispensable as before. The era of constant warfare was ending, and the need for shadow warriors like him was diminishing. However, Hanzo was not a man to fade quietly into history. The guardian of Edo, with Ieyasu rising to power, Hanzo's responsibilities evolved beyond assassination and espionage. He was appointed as the head of security for the Tokugawa shogunate, overseeing a network of spies and elite warriors whose duty was to safeguard Edo Castle. He meticulously organized the castle's defenses, ensuring that no enemy could infiltrate its walls. His influence stretched far beyond the battlefield. He was now a political figure in his own right. But with power came envy, and not all within the Tokugawa ranks were loyal. Whispers spread that Hanzo, the demon ninja, wielded too much influence. His past exploits, once celebrated, now inspired fear among those who saw him as a relic of an era best left behind. Betrayal in the shadows. By the late 1590s, political intrigue within the Tokugawa shogunate had reached a fever pitch. Ieyasu, ever the shrewd strategist, was consolidating his rule, eliminating those who might challenge his authority. Despite Hanzo's unwavering loyalty, some within Ieyasu's inner circle viewed him as a potential threat. A conspiracy emerged, one that sought to remove Hanzo from power. Whether it was due to jealousy, political maneuvering, or fear of his legendary skills, Hanzo found himself isolated. His network of spies began to crumble, and many of his closest allies vanished without a trace. The hunter had become the hunted, the mysterious end. In 1597, Hanzo met an untimely end. The circumstances of his death remain shrouded in mystery. Some say he was assassinated by rivals within the Tokugawa faction, struck down in the dead of night by those who once called him an ally. Others claim he retired to a monastery and lived out his days in quiet reflection, meditating on the ghosts of his past. A darker rumor suggests that he was executed on Ieyasu's orders of necessary sacrifice to remove the last reminder of Japan's violent past. If true, it was a tragic end for a man who had dedicated his life to the Tokugawa cause. But in the world of shadows, truth and deception are often indistinguishable. The legacy of the demon ninja. Though Hanzo the man may have perished, his legend did not. The name Hattori Hanzō became immortal, inspiring generations of warriors, storytellers, and even modern pop culture. His descendants continued to serve the Tokugawa shogunate, ensuring that his legacy endured through the centuries. Some say his spirit still lingers in the shadows of Edo, watching over the city he once protected. Others claim that on stormy nights, when the wind howls through the rooftops, the faint whisper of blade unsheathing can be heard, a reminder that Hattori Hanzō, the demon ninja, still walks among us. If you found Hattori Hanzō's story fascinating, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more legendary tales of history's greatest warriors. Let us know in the comments which historical figures you want us to cover next.